What's up, human beings of the internet? It is a beautiful April day, and this is episode 11 of Studio Practice, your no bullshit look at those things that animate the artist and designer studio. Look, man, this week I'm talking directly to you. This week we're going to discuss how time and sweat equity factor into the perception of your work. And mail time this week, towards the end of this episode, there's quite a bit of follow-up from episode number 10, so make sure you stick with it. Alright, those first 10 episodes were just a warm-up. I'm done playing. Let's go! So in a casual conversation that I was having with the author Hal Foster, the author of Return of the Real and The Anti-Aesthetic. What's up, Hal? What's up, homie? Call me, bro.
Do you actually know him?
He mentioned the distinction between work that could be characterized as important and work that could be characterized as good. Hal's offhand comment got me thinking. It's a simple statement of fact that on the deepest level there is no necessary correlation between time and quality. What does this mean? In the most real sense, it doesn't matter how long you work on a painting, sculpture, writing, poster, typeface, however, and this is a big however. However, the less skilled the maker, the stronger the correlation. What am I talking about, and how can I make this practical so that it actually helps both you and me? Dedicate yourself to getting some skill. Skill up so that skill is no longer an issue. All right, I'm gonna try to explain the ramifications of this idea for your work to help you push your work to the next level now. All right, check it. Here we see a time lapse of a painting that's in progress in my studio. My goal here is twofold: to produce both a painting and a limited edition 4-color screen print. Remember, we're talking about the simple fact that time and quality are unrelated. Yet what I'm actually showing you here is a very labor-intensive process that happens over an extended time period. And here is one of the major points of this episode. Important work, as opposed to good work, is a cultural determination that often is outside of the control of the artist or designer. What? Importance is to be strived for. But that is something that happens with the reception of the work. Your first task should be to make good work. Work that is excellent. How? Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Well, it's my suggestion that until you achieve a type of mastery, very direct forms of articulation are exceedingly problematic. What do I mean? Let's take a look. Let's take a look at an example from the field of graphic design or visual communication. These same principles can be extrapolated to painting, sculpture, photography, product design, or any other visual medium. This is the kind of absolute horseshit that I'm confronted with on a nearly daily basis. We find this horseshit all over the web, masquerading as legitimate design. What am I referring to? Even though I'm making this, I'm referring to the directness with which this piece is being constructed. That type of direct horseshit ain't this. It just isn't. But Elliott, I thought you just said, in the most real sense, it doesn't matter how long you work on a painting, sculpture, writing, poster, typeface. I did. That's precisely what I said, and it's precisely what I mean. Let's look at another painting from my studio to try to attack the point from another angle. In this painting, we see a very direct image. The image was dictated directly from God's mind to my hand. Ha! So what's the problem? No problem, but I thought you said there was a problem. While the image itself is almost direct dictation from God's mind to my hand, note the ground upon which this image rests. The surface is an exquisite crushed black glass. So even though the pictorial image itself is ridiculously direct, there's a transformation, a perceptual transformation that is happening through the uniqueness of the materials upon which that image rests. I'm going to suggest that there are similar, but different, strategies at play in the work of Jean-Michel Basquiat. No, what I'm saying...
Okay, so I don't understand what you're saying.
What I'm saying is that even when work appears to be very, very direct, in successful work, usually there is one component that is a kind of perceptual trick that is either exceedingly labor-intensive or it is some way transforms your perception of the object, similar to the black glass that's on that piece. When you first see that piece, the piece looks really simple, but it's in fact not. And I'm suggesting that things like Jean-Michel Basquiat's work, where the work looks exceedingly direct and very simple, isn't simple in any way, shape, or form.
Dale Jr. is king of the short track yoke. His daddy was famous for not driving slow. His daddy done died behind the wheel. Now little Dale makes some girlie squeal when he wins at Daytona or Pomona.
Can't believe that my dreams turned into such a nightmare.
Hey, somebody's in here!
In last week's episode, we took a look at the notion that art and design can serve as an effective test bed for problematic ideas. Let's see what you had to say. Benjamin Santiago was interested in opinions on work with more direct and/or overt political content that profits from the said content. I pointed Benjamin in the comments to the work of Oliviero Toscani and his work with Benetton Corporation.
We never had any reservations about allowing Benetton to use Teresa's photograph in that ad David Kirby's mother, Kay, told Life.com. What I objected to was everybody who put their 2 cents in about how outrageous they thought it was, when nobody knew anything about us or David. My son more or less starved to death at the end, she said bluntly, describing one of the grisly side effects of the disease. We just felt it was time that people saw the truth about AIDS, and if Benetton could help in that effort, fine. That ad was the last chance for people to see David, a marker to show that he was once here among us.
To my mind, Toscani's advertising campaign for Benetton in the late 1980s is one of the most powerful examples of instrumentalist, both art and design, that I can actually think of, and is a contemporary analog to the work of one of the greatest artists that ever lived, John Hartfield. Well done, Oliviero. Admittedly, the work is extremely problematic, but it raised awareness with regard to racial issues and with regard to the HIV crisis that was looming in the 1980s. Look, the ramifications of profit from this human crisis is precisely and specifically one of the components that made this work, made this advertising such an effective piece of instrumentalist art and design. Another theme from last week's episode is the notion that an artist or designer can use their work to explore their own complicity in difficult and problematic cultural issues. Courtney Stubbert had an excellent question for which I wrote a fairly comprehensive response in the comment section. As an example, my early experiences working in the art department at Elektra Records as a designer, manufacturing forms of representation that found their way in a tangible and material way into popular culture, had a more profound effect on my understanding ideas of representation than this book. This, as an example, first published in 1973, is a fantastic book and a seminal and important piece. All you haters can back off. Look, I realize Walter Benjamin's Art in the Age of Mechanical Reproduction is probably a better text, but the book is good, all right? But my point is that me making actual work within the field had a more profound effect on my understanding, and among other things, inspired this body of work. And this is the point in reference to Courtney's question. Look to the uniqueness of your own experience, to those areas where your experience overlaps with problematic cultural issues. Then utilize that as the beginning point, as the genesis for your work, as I have done in these pieces. Check the comments for more. I received a comment from Arthur Fellig as well, who suggested that these videos remind him of skate videos, which I thought was very interesting and actually provided me with some further motivation. So thanks, Arthur. All right, well, if you've been lurking, that's cool, but please subscribe and smash the like button. It really does help. Till next time.